individual investors. So we also believe in the power of investing to transform people's lives. And Craig, I know you've seen a few examples of this in your career.
Yes, coming to Schwab was a definite eye-opener from the private world of equity coming into the retail space. And it was actually very, very rewarding to see what Schwab had been bringing to the table for so many years. I never realized exactly what Schwab has done as a firm and making these markets so accessible to individuals and also making it more affordable for those that wanted to start at a younger age. I thought that was a real positive. Really, honestly, I fell into my overall career. I got very lucky, and not everyone is going to be that lucky. So seeing Schwab open these doors for people individually from not only a price standpoint, but from an access standpoint, absolutely was an eye-opener for me and actually made me a Schwabie from day one.
Perfect. Thanks, Craig. And of course, we challenge you to challenge us. Please keep the questions coming. And let's dive in. So some of the things we'll look at today on schwab.com are how to use the planning and investing tools we have available. Then we'll take a look at our guidance tab on schwab.com. We'll also take a look at the products tab, and you get a sense of the wide range of various products, account types, and services that we offer here. Of course, we'll look at the accounts tab to review and manage your accounts. And we'll talk to you through how to research different investments, stocks, mutual funds, exchange traded funds, and so on. Although in the interest of time, we won't be able to go into tremendous depth on that. And finally, we'll also talk about where to find market commentary, how you can use Schwab experts like Lizanne Saunders, our chief strategist, Jeff Kleintop, our global strategist, and Kathy Jones, our bond strategist, how you can use their commentary to make sense of what is seemingly sometimes market moves that just don't seem to make sense. They can help you understand those things. So with that, let's get started. Now, before you even log into schwab.com, there is a website, schwab.com/go-digital, and you can learn a lot about some of the ways you can manage your accounts before you ever even log on to Schwab. Online transfer, and there's instructions on how to do that. This enables you to set up transfers for future dates, do transfers of both securities and cash in your accounts. And I use this capability all the time. Schwab Mobile Deposit. Now, Craig, have you used the mobile deposit feature, and how do you like that?
So when I first started here at Schwab way back in 2013, the mobile app did not really have the ability to do what it can do today. But I was in a branch one day, and I brought a check in, and I asked to deposit, and one of the great CS&S folks said, you know what, you need to use the mobile app. And she showed me how to use the mobile app, and from that point on, I've been using the mobile app. It's incredibly easy, but it does take a little bit of courage to get up and use it. But I'll tell you what, I don't use anything but the mobile app. And as a matter of fact, most recently, I've had a friend text me and say, hey, I want to drop a check off at Schwab here in Denver. And I said, there's no way, you need to use the mobile app. 3 minutes later, he said, I didn't realize it was that easy. So the mobile app is actually very easy to use. I would encourage everyone to dive into that and take a look at it.
Yeah, I use that all the time. I can't imagine mailing in a deposit anymore, or actually, since we're in the branches every day, once we get through Corona, it's easy to drop one off. But even so, it's easier to just use the mobile app. We'll talk about the income view when we get to schwab.com. I also want to talk a little bit about the security of Schwab accounts. And many people, particularly in the age we live in today, online threats seem to be getting more prevalent and more sophisticated. And we have the Schwab Safe Security Guarantee, and it's very simple. If your account is hacked, if there are any unauthorized trades or any unauthorized movement of funds, Schwab will make that good. period. Now, the reason we can do that is because of cutting edge technology that we employ and the training that Schwab employees get to look for frauds, to look for things that seem out of the ordinary. For those of you who have a Schwab checking account or a debit card, you don't even have to log on to Schwab to set alerts for your card or to lock your card. And of course, you can link non-Schwab accounts. We'll talk about that later. Your bank account or accounts you might have with other firms to get your entire financial picture, even though you manage them in separate places. Travel notices whenever we can actually travel again. I'd love to go back to Hawaii, and it's very easy with my debit card to put a travel notice. Hey, folks, I'm going back to Kona. Don't block my card when you see activity from a place I haven't been in a while. So it's all
And Mark,
really easy to do.
Sorry, Mark, I just wanted to dive in, and you had mentioned those alerts and Schwab's ability to monitor the accounts for fraudulent activity. And I got to tell you, there was a time that I was here in Denver. I was at a gas station, filled up, and got back in the car. Car was not moving, saw a text from Schwab, and they let me know that somebody had run my debit card someplace down in Florida. The exact card that had just bought gas. So how can I be in two places at once? Yeah, absolutely. The most impressive part of what I've seen so far from the debit card and the fraud alert is their ability to get a hold of a client so quickly and basically say, look, something's not right. And basically within the next 5 minutes, they had already started the investigation and things of that nature to make sure that my card was not compromised any longer.
Wow, that's a great story. I mentioned earlier, I knew you were a Renaissance man, but I didn't know you had access to the Starship Enterprise. Color me impressed. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's go over to schwab.com, and we're going to walk through the website one section at a time. Please keep some questions coming. Craig, you've got a question in there from Jim in Missouri. I'll let you answer that before we dive in.
Jim, thanks for the question. It won't be. I will not be coming back to Kansas City for a little bit here. Some of the regions have shifted up a little bit. My great teammate Michael Schmidt has been covering Kansas City, but we're kind of on a travel hold right now until the whole coronavirus thing kind of kicks down a little bit. But I appreciate your kind words and thank you for asking. I miss everyone in Kansas City. Have a great relationship with the folks there. So hi to everyone in Kansas City.
And of course, you can hear some dogs barking in the background. Yeah, one of the joys of working from home. And now we know the answer to who let the dogs out. That would be Craig Porzingis.
I do apologize. It is early morning here, and they're excited. They're getting some food.
Yeah, no worries. It's one of the aspects of modern life. So it brings a smile to my face. Hopefully it brings a smile to everyone's as well. Okay, so we're going to start with working from left to right. And when I hover my mouse over the word accounts, notice I'm not clicking anything, a menu pops up. And there are several different things that we can do in here. What you're looking at in the background is the summary view, and we're going to talk about that in a moment. And then we'll take a look at balances, positions, how to do those transfers we talk about, and so on. So let's go to the summary tab, and this will show you up to 2 years of graphical activity and how your balances have, oh boy, I love it when a plan comes together. Bear with me just a sec. Craig, would you talk about how that graph works while I'm getting this reloaded?
Sure, Mark, no problem. You get a little bit of a chance to see how those particular accounts are being accounted for over the last 2 years, a visual look. And what's happening here when we get logged out, there's that's a Schwab safety feature, the ability of maybe sometimes the cursor not moving within the particular window. Sometimes we'll have us log out. It just depends upon the safety feature and how that is working for Mark. But the overall visual concept of seeing what your accounts are doing as a conglomerate is a nice type of feature here on Schwab.com. And we can see that back in July of 18, we had it looks like a windfall deposit there. But the account itself shows visually how it's moving. And it's a quick way to get a good snapshot of where you're at.
And we're back. Okay. Sorry about that,
quick,
folks.
Mark. Good job.
Yeah, magic fingers. Okay. So from the summary tab, we can move to balances. And Craig, I'm going to let you explain how the balances tab can provide you actually with a lot more information than you ever really knew was there. And we'll go down to one particular account. Let's see, the 2387. There we go. I think that's the one I want. So I'll let you talk through how this works.
Sure. So it's a nice way to get a good snapshot of seeing where you might have some, maybe a cash account that's invested in a money market, along with some of the securities on the positions and so forth. It gives you a nice chance to see it all put together in a nice pie. And while we're looking at this one, and Mark, could you scroll up just real quick for me?
Sure.
All
Here
the way to the top. Just all the way up to the top. We also can get a snapshot on this page really, as well as what our accounts are kind of sitting and how much is in each account in a visual form. I'm very visual. I am dyslexic, so there are times when looking at all these numbers, things can get turned around a little bit backwards. But having a pie slice and a chart here, able to see these accounts and see kind of where they're at visually is much more appealing to me. Can you hit that all brokerage accounts up there in the left corner, Mark, for me?
Yep.
That drop down is going to give me a quicker look or a quicker snapshot of where I can go ahead and click into the individual accounts that I want to look at. Now, Mark had scrolled down earlier and I could see all those below, but for a short, quick jump, this is the place we can go to move between these individual accounts quickly. And we'll be able to access some of our positions within those accounts fairly quickly as well.
So in this is perhaps a more of a investing and or trading account. And one of the balances things you'll see in here, this is particularly true if you're working with an IRA, is we need to focus on what settled funds. Of course, in the securities industry, we have 2 business day settlement. So if you bought a stock today, the funds aren't due for that for 2 business days. That would be Monday, Tuesday. Conversely, if you sell a stock today, those funds are not available for 2 business days, again, Monday, Tuesday. So all of that information is available here. So now let's move from balances to positions. And this is where you can look at the individual holdings in each of your accounts. So if I go back up here and hit the drop-down menu, I go back to show all brokerage accounts, then we will see positions for all the different accounts once it actually loads up. There's a summary at the top, and I'm just going to go down to this one particular account that has several different stocks in it. You've got Altria, Kraft Heinz, Merck, Microsoft, Mondelez, and Philip Morris International. And then you notice as I hover my mouse over the symbol, it tells me what that is. I didn't click on anything, just hover your mouse there, and that says the Tanaka Growth Fund. So we can look at our positions in many different ways. Since this is a demo account and we are unable to actually place trades, one thing we do not have in here is the cost basis information, because this is just demo positions. They're not real.
Hey, Mark.
Yeah.
Can you pause there for just a second? I wanted to call out just one of the columns, the percent of the account, or how much is in the account, or how much you hold of one particular position. Notice Microsoft is a pretty large position here. So when thinking about how your accounts are built, and Schwab believes in having a diversified account and a diversified long-term approach, this concentrated position should stick out like a sore thumb if you're thinking about those types of ideas. So, and you can have a conversation with financial consultants and just about anyone at the branch about different ways to access how we see and what our thoughts are on portfolio construction. But if you have a concentrated position like this, nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying that it's right or wrong. If you're comfortable with that, that's fine. But think about the diversification across your different accounts.
Yeah, and in our risk management workshop, we talk about what's called position sizing. And concentrated positions, by definition, are anything that's over 25% of your account. But we also have in here what I would call a rounding error position, where this is not even 1% of the account. And I don't know about you, Craig, but as I work with clients, I see a lot more of the rounding error positions. And in essence, here you got $150 in an account of much larger than that. That could double or go to zero, and you never notice it. Hence the term rounding error.
Exactly.
If I go back up to the top, and this is something you'll see throughout many of the different Schwab.com screens, the little gear and settings. This is where I can change which pieces of information I actually see in my window. So if I did not want to see percentage of account, I could get rid of that. If I didn't want to see dividend yield, I could get rid of that, or last dividend. So,
Mark.
Yes.
Real quickly, Robert in New York's got an interesting question while we're on accounts. He's asking, he has one account in an IRA, and he's wondering why we would need separate or multiple accounts here at Schwab.
Well, the answer to that is there are generally multiple financial goals that we're working towards in our lives. And with an IRA, of course, that's an individual retirement account. Gee, I wonder what the goal for that is, Craig. Could that be retirement?
It is.
Yeah. You have kids that are college age and coming up to college age. So educational accounts for kids and or grandkids might be another financial goal. And we also might have assets that are not tax deferred like IRAs that we're allocating towards either retirement, education funding, maybe a special purchase like a boat or a motorhome, or a snowbird hideaway if you live in a cold or warm climate. So there are multiple financial goals, and we're going to get more into that when we talk about the guidance tab. But that's one reason why you might want to have multiple accounts. Additionally, you might have an IRA for yourself, Robert, but you might have an IRA for your spouse as well. You may have an IRA rollover account where you roll over your 401k from a former employer. So a lot of different reasons you might have. The very first of the 7 Schwab investing principles is start with a plan. Identify your goals, plan for those goals, and then take continual action to move in that direction. Great question, Robert. While we're on questions, Jim in Missouri asked, do I need special software, security software on my iPhone to do the mobile app? And the answer is no. Between the iOS or the Android operating system and the Schwab app on the iOS or Android operating system, that takes care of the security as well. Harmon in California, we won't be discussing Street Smart Edge today, but there is a way to add a note, probably not a page worth, in the charts in Street Smart Edge. Okay, so that we've covered positions. Actually, I need to go back to the summary page for one moment. We're looking at personal value here, but there's also an investment income view, and we alluded to that earlier, but I wanted to take a look at that. Now, you can look back with several different views. You can look back and see how much income you actually received in 2019, literally month by month. We can also look at 2020 to see what we, again, have actually received so far and is expected to be received in the coming year. But I know most of the clients I talk to like to look at this next 12 months. It's great what I've received so far, but what have I got coming in the near future? So what this will show in any given month is any dividends from stocks that you own, any interest from bonds that you own, will show in that view. Anything you want to add to there?
Nope, I just wanted to echo what you said. It all starts with the plan, and we are definitely here to help with that. Financial consultants are all about making sure that, I like to say, that your goals are reached, but your dreams are reached here at Schwab.
Perfect. So you can also look at, in the interest of time, we won't go there, at the account history for a given account, trades, deposits, withdrawals, and so on. You can get copies of your statements. One thing I do want to cover is the portfolio performance tab. Now, being a demo account, I don't know that we have full data on this, but we're going to take a look at the portfolio performance, and then we'll come back and talk about transfers and payments. So you can look at this, and I'll actually just look at the last 3 months is fine. What's your beginning value, any contributions or withdrawals that you've made, the change in value investment-wise, and this is over various periods of time. How that's performed relative to indexes, the S&P 500, your total return. And there's a lot more you can do with this. You can look at asset class performance. There's a lot more you can do with this. I urge you to spend some time in here and play around. One thing I will tell you, there is no self-destruct switch in Schwab.com. You can't break anything by clicking on any of these buttons. So let's look at transfers and payments, because I do want to talk about how we can actually move money between accounts. So online transfers allow you to move cash and or securities in between your brokerage accounts. And to go back to Robert's question in New York, I actually have multiple IRA accounts, and they're somewhat dedicated to different investment objectives. And occasionally I will make a purchase of a dividend growth stock in my, if you will, trading IRA, and I can move that into my dividend growth IRA with the click of a mouse. Another thing is to move money between your checking account or your taxable account into an IRA or a Roth to make your annual contribution. It can be done very quickly and easily. Now, you can also link external bank accounts, like a checking account at your bank or a credit union, and move money to and from those external accounts as well. And then finally, if you're doing, let's say, a real estate transaction and you need to send a Fed funds wire, that can be done the same business day for wires within the U.S. and 2 to 7 business days if you're moving internationally. Craig, have you used the bill pay service yet?
I have. My daughter actually played hockey out in Vermont, and to pay her her bill for playing out in Vermont, instead of sending a check, I just went in and did the bill pay option within Schwab, and it was transferred within 1 day. So very easy to set up. And if there's a problem, you can always call our 800 line for a little extra help. But the bottom line is it was painless, and they were very appreciative of the quick deposit from us into their end.
Perfect. You can transfer an account from another firm if you like, and it typically takes between as little as 5 to 16 business days. And if you need an old school check, we can actually request that. The normal time frame is 6 to 9 business days. If you need a paper check sooner, there would be an overnight shipping fee, but you can get that done in as little as 1 business day. So in the interest of time, we're going to have to move on. Let's go to the trade window, and I'm going to start with the all-in-one trade ticket. Craig, why don't you talk us through this?
So the all-in-one trade ticket is a ticket that's not only available here at Schwab.com, it's also available in Street Smart Edge, our what I would call flagship platform for trading. But we're talking about Schwab.com today. You can simply enter a symbol. Let's take Apple for instance today. Please, Mark.
I thought we'd use a Colorado-based company.
Oh, okay. If you want to, let's use more Molson Coors. Sure. So, and here, before you place the trade, you can actually see the bid size, the ask size, as well as the day range, and then the 52-week range. We also have a little bit of information on volume. We also get a chance to see the previous close and today's open. So we're trading a little bit below the open, but we can select the action down below. And it's a drop down, buy, sell, sell short. You can sell short with, you be sure you know you're going to need a margin account there. Also, order type is available, limit price is available, and timing on the day. Now, those little blue circles with the eye, hovering over those give you the idea, or actually the information you may need to kind of decide where it is you want, or what type of order you might want, or any questions you might have. This helps in understanding just what you're actually doing before you do it. The timing is very important. Please remember that, you know, a day trade is going to get canceled, a day only is going to get canceled if it's not filled on that day. But a good until canceled will sit on Schwab server for 60 calendar days. Fill or kill, you either get it right away or you don't, and you're out. These types of orders matter when you put them in, and they actually can help you decide or help you execute an entry plan a little bit more, what I would call using a scalpel versus just jumping in. So it just depends on your style of investing and maybe trading here. Of course, before you do the order, you're going to want to review that order and click that green button to kind of see what's going on. But we won't do that here because as of right now, in the interest of time, we'll need to get through. Remember, you can also use this calculator here to tell you, if you want to use dollar amount versus how many shares, you can say, all right, I want to trade only $1,300 worth of this particular trade. How many shares will I get for that?
Let me make that 1,300.
There we go.
Calculate.
Hit that
That would be 32 shares.
Go. 32 shares.
And that will tell you.
Math major.
Now, we had that conversation before. Okay.
Yes,
so
we have.
Now, one other cool thing about the all-in-one trade tool is I can not only trade stocks and ETFs, but by clicking this drop-down arrow, for those of you who trade options, just the simple options positions, buying a call, buying a put, covered calls, cash secured puts, as well as the more involved and more complicated 2, 3, and 4 leg trades. So that's why we refer to this as the all-in-one trade tool. Now, one thing I do want to point out that's brand new, in fact, brand new this week, Schwab Stock Slices. Now, this is where you can choose a dollar amount, and we're going to actually take one example on part of a high-price stock. You can give as a gift, part of your overall plan, and away we go. Close that. So if I wanted to buy Amazon, little company here in Seattle we've heard of, and again, most people throughout the country have heard of it too. Craig, how many Amazon boxes arrive at your place every week?
Oh my God, you cannot
More
believe
than you
the
want to
amount
admit.
of recycling. Yeah, you cannot believe the amount of recycling that goes out of this house. So
if I wanted to put $500 into Amazon without Schwab Stock Slices, I couldn't do that. It's a $2,400 stock. But I can come in here and put in, let's say, 500. And again, we're not going to actually place the order. But this is one way to use this. I want to go back to select stocks. Now, another way that we can use this is, have you heard of dividend reinvestment plans where you would typically buy at least one share through your broker, transfer that to the company, and then make a monthly deposit into a company that paid a dividend? Well, now you can execute your dividend reinvestment plan right through here. So we could actually put money into Apple, AbbVie, Abbott Labs, Archer Daniels Midland, and we'll just stop there. Oh, Aflac. So we could put a certain amount of money into each one of these companies, and then select reinvest dividends for all. And even if you own a fractional share, you would get dividends reinvested. This is perhaps one of the more unique ways of using Schwab stock slices.
You
And
know, Mark, would you say, Mark, that what Mr. Einstein said about the compounding interest,
being the eighth
similar
wonder
to
of the
compound
world.
dividends? The eighth wonder of the
Yes,
world. That's exactly
you
right.
got it. And Rhonda in Illinois asked, do we plan to offer stocks not on the S&P 500? I think we will expand that in time. I think we're the first major firm to roll out something like this, but it will probably expand in time. Trading options, mutual funds. I do want to take a look at bonds and CDs, and then we're going to have to get back on track. So if you wanted to, this is what's called bond source. So if I wanted to buy a 5-year AA rated municipal bond, I would simply go in here, 5 years, AA rated municipal, click that link, and this will show you the bonds that are actually in our inventory available for you to purchase right now. Now, both Craig and I are what are called the regional investment strategists, and we support clients throughout the country who manage some or all of their own money. But there is also the regional bond specialist that is based in Denver, and there is a bond specialist that supports every branch in the country. They're, in essence, our counterpart on the fixed income side. So they're available to you as a resource if you want to learn more about bonds or fixed income. I'm going to go back to this again. You wind up with the same thing for CDs and money markets. Notice at the very top your various interest rates on CDs. Okay, let's move along to research. I'm going to start with the research markets. And you'll always find a, excuse me, excuse me, I get choked up whenever I talk about this. You get a very quick stock market update of what's going on over here. You see the news with given companies. But where I really wanted to focus on is market insight. And this is where you can find the latest research by the Schwab experts like Liz Ann Saunders, Jeffrey Kleintop. You get what's wrong with the rebound. If you ask that question today, I think the answer is probably nothing. But Jeff did raise some interesting points in there. Here's the Schwab market perspective from just a couple of weeks ago. New ones are posted here as they come out. As we research stocks, again, in the interest of time, we're not going to go too far today, but let's look at TAP, Molson Coors, that Colorado company.
Yeah.
So the first thing you'll see here is a graph up to 5 years. And I don't know about you, Craig, but that's not one I'd want to be buying right now. The trend is your friend,
look all that great.
or not. Yeah. So actually, let's take a look at something else. Microsoft will go with a Seattle area company. Now, again, let's go to up to 5 years. A lot of companies will have this. You can also check their earnings. How have they done? I always look at generally accepted accounting principles. You'll see 3 years of quarterly earnings, quarterly sales, and so on. And also look at the dividends tab. I'd love to go a lot farther. Later this morning, we'll be doing stock screening tools. That will be, I believe, at 10 o'clock Pacific. That would be 1 o'clock Eastern. And in that particular workshop, we're going to 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 o'clock Pacific. Thank you. And we'll dive much deeper into the research of individual stocks. The products tab I want to look at, because this will give you a sense of all of the different products that are available here. Craig, why don't you walk us through some of the things you can do here?
So here's where you're going to be able to take a little time and take a look at, what type of retirement accounts that we have available, rollover options, the inherited IRAs, things of that nature that you can kind of get into and start thinking about. If you haven't visited one of the branches or talked to a financial consultant, they're very much guided towards helping you plan and move forward. You can also take a look at some of the bank offerings with the high yield checking, high yield savings accounts, and also the pledged asset line versus maybe taking a personal loan or a home equity loan. These types of ideas are all available to you here. Also, think about what we offer as far as investment insights and Schwab's intelligent portfolios that are offered here. We also have Portfolio Premium, which is offered with a planning aspect to that. Look at some ideas that you may think about adding to your overall experience here at Schwab if you're new to Schwab. I know we have a lot of new USAA clients. Want to welcome you all to the fold, and thank you very much for your service. I know Mark went to West Point as well. Thank you, Mark, for everything that you've done for me. Schwab's intelligent portfolios are a robo-advisor is what they kind of call them. Some automatic balancing and automatic rebalancing when markets move in certain directions. Also think about the planning aspect in that Schwab Intelligent Portfolio Premium that's offered. It is a very, very good value. Also, a little bit to the left, we get a chance to see those and get some questions answered on mutual funds, ETFs. Maybe you're thinking about trading some options or futures. Maybe you have questions on margin and you're a little bit more advanced, or you're starting to think about doing some advanced type of strategies in your own trading or investing. There are a lot of margin features that we can add to different accounts, but there are some rules that limit that a little bit, and this is a place to take a look at that.
Yeah, Craig, thanks. Yeah, USAA is the only insurance company I've ever had. They've been a tremendous company. They're kind of the gold standard for client service, and we certainly welcome all our USAA clients. We'll do our best. As our CEO put it, we have some big boots to fill. One thing I do want to add on the Intelligent Portfolios Premium, that's another revolutionary product that Schwab introduced, where it is a subscription-based comprehensive financial plan delivered by a certified financial planner professional. And rather than a asset-based fee, the initial fee for the financial plan is $300, a fixed fee, and which is very reasonable for a comprehensive plan, and $30 a month or $90 a quarter for ongoing financial planning updates, regardless of how much you might have managed through the Schwab Intelligent Portfolios. One of the best kept secrets at Schwab, we have the 12th largest bank in the country. We have a partnership with Quicken Loans. They are the J.D. Power multiple year in a row award winner for mortgage service. With interest rates where they are, if you haven't looked at refinancing, you probably ought to do that as well. We're really running short on time, so we'll go through the guidance tab. I do want to talk a little bit about this from the perspective of planning. Now, these are all the, in a way, this is the answer to Robert in New York. Why would you want to have more than one account? These are some of the major investment goals that we might have. And as we go through our lives, there are 4 stages in our wealth management process. We grow our wealth as we're younger, as we're becoming middle-aged. We build funds to fund retirement and or college. As we get closer to those goals, we preserve our wealth. As we actually enter those goals, like paying for college, not to bring up a painful topic, Craig, but I know he's got college-age kids. But as we actually get to retirement, we distribute that wealth. And again, another innovative product, Schwab Intelligent Income. But ultimately, we pass on that wealth. And there are, unfortunately, horror stories, particularly of celebrities, that have passed away without even so much as a will, let alone a comprehensive estate plan. One of the more tragic ones was Prince, and he passed away suddenly with very young. I think he was 50, right, Craig?
Yes.
And no estate plan. Extremely talented guy, but didn't have the foresight to put in an estate plan, and his primary heir ultimately became Uncle Sam. One other thing I want to point out here for those of you new to joining us, not just from USAA, but especially those folks, the new Client Welcome Center. But financial guidance is available for any of these goals and some of the big life events that we have to deal with. Retirement, changing jobs, getting married, expanding your family, inheritance, getting a divorce, losing a loved one. All of these different things you can get some guidance on. And then finally, the service tab. Now this is where we can go into, and you noticed earlier that all of those accounts had account numbers. Well, we can actually go in here and actually give those accounts a nickname. And let's see, where was that? I think it's under my profile. Nope, I see it over there on the side. Bear with me a sec while this comes up. Account service. Account groups, that's it. So if you wanted to refer to this account as Craig's Hockey Fund, actually we could call that your new base fund, whatever. Anyway, you can say it. So you don't have to refer to this by an account number. You can give it a nickname. You can also assign it to a retirement group, education group, or trust estate group. So those are some of the things you can do here. Debit cards and checks, you can order those. And in this case, we don't have any bank accounts in here. One other thing I want to point out is alerts. So there are several different types of alerts. You can get your closing summary and your weekly summary emailed to you. And you can also have what I would call securities alerts. If you've ever wanted to know if a certain stock breaks above or breaks down below. So let's say I want to know if TAP, since we looked at that earlier, if that's in a big time downtrend right now, we can have that, and I don't remember what the price was, but let's say rises above 40. You will get emailed in real time if, okay, let's say 50. I don't remember what it traded at. So you will get an email, or you can set it up to have a text message sent to you in real time if a certain price is breached. One other thing I want to look at is research. We talked about the Schwab experts. You could actually get Schwab research alerts emailed to you, the closing market view, the midday market view, morning market view, and so on. You can get those emailed to you, as well as the investing insights we talked about earlier. And we can't do that right now, again, because it's a demo account. I think we pretty well covered most things. Let's look at any questions we've got. Thanks, Ning in California. Thanks for the compliment. David in Oregon points out he helped his brother transfer accounts from different brokerages to Schwab, all online. He'd had some issues with other firms trying to get them to transfer, but doing online took minutes without having to call them. Craig, I think that covers everything we want to do. Anything you want to add before we wrap up and close?
I would encourage anyone that's come to Schwab that's new or that has been here at Schwab to revisit our website on a regular basis. We're adding different things each and every quarter. It seems like different functionality, trying to stay and make our clients know that we want them to have the information and be as transparent as possible. The Schwab Stock Slices is an absolute great way to start that investing process for youngsters. I know I'm thinking about making sure my kids get a little chance of having things of that nature and getting them started now so that later on in their life, they've got a head start. I think these types of innovations that Schwab continues to press on, not only in the industry as far as the way we've worked before, but challenging the industry and pushing the envelope on our technology is an important step. And once you start getting used to using this technology, it's really very simple to use and actually kind of fun to go in and see some of the different things that Schwab is always offering and doing.
Yep. And real quick, Ava in Indiana asks, how do you go to nickname accounts again? That's the service tab, account groups. And I pulled this up. Craig, you mentioned we're always adding something. Here's something we added just this week. So thanks, everybody, for your great questions. Craig, thank you. Always a pleasure to work with you, my friend. Up next is finding cash-secured puts in today's market with senior derivative trading strategist, Nino Milivots. And I'll be back on with Nina at 2 p.m. Eastern. That'll be 11 o'clock Pacific for stock screening tools. Thank you, everybody. Have a good weekend and stay well out there.
Earnings per share, or EPS, is one of the